Hey guys, my guest tonight, medium Nancy Matz, is going to be talking about our needs to have spirit pets. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Okay. How weird. I actually heard my voice then, too. That was bizarre. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host, I hope, for the next hour or so. I'm also the owner of the California House Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you think you have a paranormal need, we can help you out. It may take us a while to get to you, but we can definitely get to you. And in the case that we can't get to you right away, we do have mediums on staff who can phone you, talk to you about what may or may not be going on, and in most cases, if it is paranormal, they can calm energy down. Just a quick FYI, the internet's already doing this little dancey thing, and we are currently up against a presidential press conference right now that people are watching. So if the internet starts to get buggy and weird, that is why, because everybody in this neighborhood has Xfinity. So, I mean, there's one line coming in and one line going out, right? So we don't know how backlogged that can get. Anyway, I got to thank Nancy. I've been in a really down mood over things for the last week and a half, and I'm in a really dark kind of down mood. You know, people get in those moods, and I was just in one. Nancy calls me the other day and says, oh, I mailed you something, and it's going to make you very happy. And I thought, okay, so it arrived early today, and I have to show this to you. I mean, this has me written on it. This is screaming, and it's so good that, you know, here we go. Let me get it up the camera. So I can show you guys. Yeah, if I can just aim it. Hang on. Let me do it. There you go. Look at that. And who's on there? Yep, you betcha. See that? And it's a thermal thing, which means if I have ice cold water, I can have ice cold water in there to defrost myself. I mean, to cool myself off after dying of heat stroke in the other room. So thank you, Nancy. Right on. You get it right on. You can tell my mood's better. Grogu always puts me in a good mood, right? It is 113 today. We're down to 110 right now. So it's on the downgrade. Okay, that being said, thank you, Nancy, again. A few announcements to make. If you're watching, let's get the main stuff out of the way, then I'll talk. And then Nancy's and I are going to talk about a thing or two also. If you're watching from Facebook today, and a lot of you may not be because of the presidential thing, but if you are watching from Facebook today and you like the show, you like, what we did today, please leave us a thumbs up or a happy face. And if you haven't done so already, please hit that follow button. We air it all. We're live. If something goes wrong in the show, it's all out there, right? It's out there for God and everybody. So please hit that follow button and also chat in the chat room, okay? Because what that does is that puts us up higher in what they call the For You page, which is something you might see in hashtags that say FYP, okay? It's like when you scroll down Facebook, you get past the reels, and you get down this other level on Facebook, and there's like suggested people for you to look at, or suggested pages for you to go to and become members of. That's what the FYP is. So if we're up higher in the FYP, via you guys, liking the show and all that, then we're going to show up in that suggested section and for more people to click on. So that's what that's all about. Works the same way over at YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so. There's over 1,100 videos over there, all the show. I'm a journalist. I like all different topics. Don't like to, cover the same stuff all the time. Last night was a great example, the Coral Castle. What a great, interesting show that was. I was still reading about it after the fact. So I like to switch it up a lot. So, the same thing over there. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit us, with the happy face and all that good stuff. Show us some love. Show us some love. That's what we want. and chat amongst yourselves in the chat room. Twitch, which we're broadcasting to unite, same thing. They all work basically the same. The only one that's a little different is TikTok, because with TikTok, in order to put the likes on there, you have to double tap the screen. That's the only difference. Okay? All right. So one of the quick discussions I wanted to have was about yesterday's show. I'm hard of hearing in my right ear, and anything that comes through there is going to be garbled. The problem I was having last night, because as you can tell, I have an air conditioner on the back. I'm not going to turn it off at 110 degrees. It's not happening. And a lot of the problem I had last night, I could not hear him, because he would be right up on here, and then he'd be like way back here, to where I couldn't hear him. So I was having to listen really, really closely. So I think I did a pretty good job at the interview, even though there were parts where I couldn't hear him. And then I had concerns that maybe the whole interview was like that. But you guys, the regulars that watch this show are consistent with saying, hey, I can't hear this person, right? But I was nervous about that. So after the show, of course, I downloaded the audio to put it on the RSS feed, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have an hour, at least 2 hours of work trying to balance all this. But StreamYard has a function where they will balance audio automatically, and they did. StreamYard did its job last night, because when I went back after I looked at the audio and thought, well, that doesn't look so bad, I went back and listened to half the show on YouTube last night, and it was fine. So that was really cool. But I was having issues last night hearing him, unfortunately. My hearing gets so bad. So that I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about really quick, and I think I'm going to get Nancy to chime in a little bit on this, is the Patreon site. I'm going to be making changes on the Patreon site. And the thing is, we're trying to figure out what changes to really make exactly. Or, the idea is, to have different levels that you can donate a month to the team. Because the whole thing is I'm going to be honest too, I got turned down by YouTube for monetization. They didn't like something about the show. Who knows. But I did not qualify for monetization. So I'm trying to find other creative ways to keep this show on the air. And if you watch a lot of people on YouTube that obviously haven't qualified for monetization, they're over on they're making it with their shows through Patreon. So that's one of the goals I have, is which I'm trying to figure out between Meetup and Patreon what my best bet is on that, and the RSS feed. So what I thought of doing, and this I'm going to bring Nancy in to have a quick discussion with her about this, is it's only going to run you guys, and this is something that caught my eye, and another Patreon member was doing this. Instead of throwing out a flat fee up there, to keep this show on the air is only 18 cents a day. 18 cents a day. Okay, but the thing is, for the levels on Patreon, we have to offer, there's the first level, there's the 3 levels. So when you hit the gold level, what are we going to offer? That's the question. So what I thought of doing, and this came to me just before the show, was that why don't we do a focus group? Because I'd like to know what you guys want to see. That's the thing. If you're going to pay for membership, it's not about me saying, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. Okay, if you're going to pay for a monthly membership, I'd like to know what you are interested in as far as the show goes, and what you would like to see at the Patreon, because that would be more for private special events, right? It's kind of like the meetup, only it would be a private thing over there for you guys. So I'd like to maybe do a focus group, maybe do a coffee with the editor, maybe in an evening, because I know I'm going to be off early Tuesday, and we're going to have an early show. So Tuesday evening we could get together here and have a focus group, and talk about different ideas that you guys would like to see me offer over at the Patreon, to help fund all this stuff. So, that's what I'm looking at. Is it something that you want Nancy and I to do more of, and we can do it over there, or whatever, whatever you think you'd want me to do, special shows, have special guests over there, or whatever. I'd just like to sit down and see where your interest is, and because like I said, you're paying for that membership, so it would be your interest and what I can do to accommodate that, to make things better. Right now, I have 2 members over at the Patreon. Usually when I do a pre-record, the show airs over there 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks in advance of when it's going to air on YouTube and over here. So that's one of the perks on that basic level that I have going now. So, it's just a matter of figuring out, what you guys are looking for, and what you guys are looking for, what we can actually do, okay? All right, I'm going to shut up, bring Nancy in, because I'm going to let her go later, because I'm blah-blahing here a little later. But like I said, we're right in the middle of a presidential PR thing right now, so whoever's here is here. So I'm excited. Let's do this. I'm talking about pets, and I have a question for Nancy along that line as well. Here we go. Okay.
I've been really busy. there's days when you get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wish I was making money in all those calls, but unfortunately, it was somebody with a sick. Was that this morning? I think so. Sick cat.
Right.
And one of the things I was going to talk to you about was her and her dog. And then just people. I have somebody in Houston, Texas area that doesn't have any power, and I was kind of trying to keep in touch with him. So it's been
Yep.
a really busy day, and I haven't watched any news. You get on and you say there's, we will see it. Oh, look at that cup. I saw that cup. I just had to mail it.
Look at
And
how
the
busy.
cost of mail, that was almost $7 just to send that. It's light as a feather. I was
This is
just,
awesome. It keeps my water cool.
I know it. They're metal.
Look at
Aren't they
this. Thank you.
wonderful?
What? It changed my
So
mood.
the
Thank you.
yeah, right? Yeah. I told the lady at the post office, I said, I have a friend that's kind of had a rough couple of days. She says, we'll get there really fast. And it was one night. One night. It was supposed to
One
show up
night.
tomorrow.
Yep.
So she put it
There it
in a
is.
hurry. So anyway, I can start tonight on the pet. It's very important.
Okay.
I but I also want to talk about real quick Patreon for her.
Yes.
Uh, I have I spend a lot of time on the computer, and sometimes I'm typing. I'll have somebody YouTube on the side going, and it's amazing to me the number of people who do interview shows. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be covered by YouTube to make money. I
Mm-hmm.
I am absolutely dumbstruck how
Yeah.
you could have a million subscribers and they just say, well, all you do is interview. And it's
Yeah.
not that easy. They have no idea how much work she puts into this.
Right.
And I don't know if they consider us it. I guess maybe I'm an interview. I don't know, though I'm on every
Yeah.
week.
I don't know.
Anyway, we need your suggestions. Um, I will do readings, but rarely, because this is what I do for a living. I do
Mm-hmm.
readings. And so for me to have you just a couple of dollars, it have to be an event that's pretty special. So that's
Right.
why it's going to be in the middle column. The
Mm-hmm.
first column will be whatever she creates, and I think it's worth it. It's just too
Mm-hmm.
bad that we were talking endless hours. Where
Yeah.
does everybody go? Where is the platform? So when you write a note to Shar, do me a favor and say that you listen to podcasts over here. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many platforms, I'm almost dumbstruck. I Googled it and there's like 12 different platforms that people work on. Yet
Yeah.
I don't know them. I don't hear of them. So if Facebook is where we make our connections or meetup, and then we switch, how hard would it be to get that going again? I've
Mm-hmm.
been on here more than a year and a half every week, sometimes twice a week. And to start
Mm-hmm.
over somewhere else, it's pretty tough. And I'll be getting my show. Shar says, I want to do my show, yet, this seems like a lot of work. It's getting harder and harder. It's not so much I want to make a lot of money, but I would like to know that people want to listen. If I
Right.
start talking to 30 years worth of a client stories, and if someone has a good suggestions, I would like to call my today. I don't know what I'll end up with. I'm going to call it Life Sucks, but it can be better.
Mm-hmm.
It's all my readings. No one calls me with good news. It's all bad stuff. Keeps me, you know. So anyway, let's talk about pets.
Really
I
quick.
want to go there. Go ahead.
Let me clarify this too. This is not moving the show to Patreon. I'm not doing that. I will not charge for the daily shows. I'm not going to do that. These are I'm talking special events and different things that you
Hmm.
guys would like to see, that we're
Yes.
not doing on the show currently. Okay, it's not me moving the show over there. I'm not gonna. It's not fair. Because that's our main broadcast stuff is to Facebook and YouTube and all those places. But like I
Does
said, it is.
Patreon offer does Patreon offer a platform for podcasting?
No, it can
Okay,
be done
so
though.
we oh, okay, so don't worry about that, everybody.
Yeah, you don't have
But
to worry about.
like I said, if you
Yeah, I'm not going to do live shows over there. I mean, I will for special events, but I'm not going to do live shows over Patreon, so you guys have to pay. I'm not going to do that. It's not fair to you. Okay?
uh-huh,
So this is like
hmm
for
hmm
extras, just extra stuff that you guys would like to see us doing. You
hmm
know?
hmm and of course, I do enjoy doing readings. I've been at this
Mm-hmm.
33 years, and I'm still doing it, and platform readings and conventions and special events. So if we do readings, it'll be so specialized, like who's standing next to you, and I give visual description, and then we should do eventually a show just on deceased pets.
Yeah.
And the trouble with deceased pets, you don't know who's following you. One uh, Professor Gary Swartz had me double blind tested. I tell everybody that. And we were walking in the hallway from where I was sitting to where it was going to happen. I said, this great big dog. Of all things, I went, already? I'm not ready. And it took him like 6 months and it was over. And everybody, he called me up and says, oh my God, I recognize the dog.
Hmm.
It was somebody's neighbor dog or something. And he was very close to it. And this is an example of tonight. I wanted to start out by saying I was a long distance runner when I lived in Loomis, uh, and that's by in Roseville. Let's see, Roseville, and then um, Loomis, which backed up to Granite Bay and Auburn, California, and the bike trails. So I had access to bike trails. After I put in like 8, 9 years of running, riding horses, I started running to strengthen my ankle. And my husband at the time worked, it's a long story, but he had access to Davis, where they were doing experimentation on dogs and cats. At the end of the year, unfortunately, they would destroy them. And when he found out, he was just devastated. He says, oh my God, the puppies are so cute. Yeah, every puppy's cute. He says, I have my eye on a black and white lab. And I said, how old is it? He said, oh, about 6, 7 weeks. Can we have it? And I went, I hadn't even thought about it, but I thought it'd be good for the kids, right? And he came in the house with his arms out like this. I know you can't see, but he was carrying it with 2 arms. I went, that's a 7 week old puppy. Ended up, she ended up growing to about 105 pounds. But anyway, she absolutely amused me to dickens. Puppies, the gangly, and they fall over each other, all their legs, and it was just very fun. And I love my sister's name, and it's Bonnie. And for some reason, it fit her, and I called her Bonnie. And I had then, by the time she was 2 years old, I started running. And it didn't matter what I was doing in my life, but if I put those shorts on with those shoes, she went, "Oh, Mama's running," and she'd run out, get out of the house, and she would run next door and get Caesar. And Caesar was a really big German Shepherd, about 100 pounds also. And where I would run 13, they would run 20. And it was every time I left the house. And I joke with people, I've gotten older, so it's kind of like I get the spread, we're getting fuller. But at that time I was pretty slim. And people say, you're into horses or anything, you're practically half naked. I'd wear this little tiny t-shirt, but the shorts were short and they were striped, which was really popular, and those running shoes. And Bonnie would see those shoes and those short shorts, those colors. I don't know, I think they see color, but the stripes. And she would go, and I loved having them. And I even to this day, I get emotional. I don't know. I was talking to some in my family. I don't know if it's my son or daughter, whoever, and someone said, it might have been my daughter, and she says, "Oh, Dad had to put her down." I go, "Why?" She said, "Well, she was always underneath the deck. She wouldn't get out, and it's because she couldn't walk anymore. Evidently, she wore herself out running around me on bike trails." And I kind of jarred because I had left him on the heels of cancer and got divorced, and I lost track, and I wasn't healthy enough to take care of an animal, let alone myself. And unfortunately, she was taken to the vet, and it must have been, but I can get emotional over that, and it must be 30 years ago now. And I'm amazed how I yearn for her. And I know that it's not a child, but it was those times in my life when the stress of being in a marriage and working like I was and raising a family and keeping the house, those were my time. And you could tell it upsets me. You even think about it now, like that was my time and she was part of it. And so one day I was talking to somebody I trust about the afterlife. And she said, "Oh, I see you running with a big black dog." She didn't know I had a big black dog because I can vision myself in the afterlife running all over the world. Like,
Mhm.
Nancy, are you crazy? But the freedom of and the empowerment, because this was the 80s until I left my husband when I was
Mhm.
40. So all of those years I was running and riding horses, running most of them. And it was difficult years, but it was my time and my dog. And
Mhm.
so it was a big moment for me. And so to hear something like that, and so so this is why this is an important topic for me. And then there was a client named of Carol, and she had just been widowed, and it was a terrible time for her. And I come to get upset. And she was a lovely, lovely lady. And if you hear me tonight, please call and reconnect. And I described a man, and he showed up, and I said, "Oh, you're going to get married." And she wasn't ready, but they got married. And then he got sick. And then he eventually died. But before he died, or right after, she said, "Well, who greeted him?" And I saw three men with a stick each, but I saw these large animals standing all around them. And she says, "Oh my God, those are his buddies that he used to hunt with that have passed away. And those things you're seeing are their guns, but you're seeing
Mhm.
all the deer." And I thought to myself, is that the deer they killed? Or it was an illusion of animals? Because the animals, not so much it was the killing of animal, but it was the harvesting of them because they would eat them. And of course, in the Bible it says, fruit and multiply, and this is how you're going to live, is have animals in your life. But these stories are so monumental. Really, in my life, I got a cat for myself. I got an orange tabby. And at the moment, I was writing my notes down. I couldn't remember the tabby's name, but it was just before Bonnie showed up in my life. And I thought, oh, I get a cat. I just love cats. And you guys, he's gone. You know, I have two big black cats, one big one medium-sized one. And there's something magical about them. But this orange cat, I fell in love with this orange cat, brought him home, brought her home. And Derek was sitting on the floor in the family room. The cat looked, went, oh, he went, "Womp, womp, womp, womp." Lost my cat. And that cat slept with him. He went to college, and the cat went to college with him. It was amazing because they could have cats at that time. And it was like
Mhm.
that bonding, and there's no logic, and it's like instant love, almost karmic. And I will bring another story up, which was absolutely amazing. And then I'll get other ideas here. Coast to Coast, I haven't listened to it as often because I got so many podcasts to listen to here and studying all this I'm doing. And am I frozen the screen? Anyway, he was on about three times. And this is a gentleman who believed that he was a horse in a past life. We talked about him once before, Shar, remember? And I did go back and I found the show. It's years, a couple of years now. And and the second time he was on, George Norrie was talking about this gentleman, and seems like I'm kind of not square with you guys here. There you go. And he said this is believable, unbelievable, but believable because this man
Mhm.
is so genuine in his conviction, and he talks like he yearns to be an animal.
Mhm.
And I go, really? How does that work? Well, it works, and it does. I have three people in my life, friends, who have acquired pets that have returned. And then you go, well, how does that work? Uh, they come back with the same mannerisms. And the first one was actually a horse, maybe 20 years ago. And I know Cindy wouldn't mind my saying her name. And she was a ride high. She went to, no, she was an endurance, and she still is. So,
Mhm.
Cindy, if you hear this, give me a call, sweetie. I miss talking to you. Anyway, a horse had passed away, and it was one of those unfortunate things to happen. And she was just grieving terrible. And we talked about it. And then a friend called a couple of years later and says, we have a horse that you can have. was born and no one wants, it was just one of those things. And she took it back. She says, the way it gates, way it looks at me, um, nudges me just like the other horse. And I thought, why not? Who am I to say, no, that can't happen? Well, if you get into dog breeding, and my client in Texas, he dreams. He's lost pets over the years, and he'll have a dream, and he'll know that there's a dog coming that he had, and he has three doxies and two larger ones, which I can't remember. Four doxies and the larger one. Anyway, he'll dream that he needs to get a dog because it's one coming back. And he'll even be told where to look, what direction. Like if he hears or sees it by accident, he'll know that one he needs to go get. It's just amazing. And then you think to yourself, as many times as I've talked to people and I hear animals in the house, someone said, is my dog with us in the house? And all of a sudden I heard click, 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 click. And I says, you have hardwood floors or wood in the hallway or tile something? And she says, yeah. And I says, well, I can hear the clicking of the nails coming down the hallway towards you. Wow. So we desire to have the animal with us. As you can see, I'm just doing this. We don't want it just to pass on and go to the animal heaven in the sky. We want that animal in our house. It's a little selfish. We need to know that they can and should go on. And people say, um, I can't hear the animal. And this took years to kind of get to it. The first time it happened, I have a client in China, and we emailed, and she lost a cat and was in the house. And this was one of those cat video things you see where they open a box up at both ends, and the cat would skid and run and get into the box and then slid across the floor. So it was really um, a comical cat. It was a big cat too. And so the passing of this cat and the fun they had creating not the videos but funny situations, they lost a whole entertainment level. And they grieve for this cat. They subsequently they got one or two more, and they were grieving this cat. And so I put my mind to their house, which I could. How do you do this, right? Like I'm doing it by email, yet I can get into their house by somehow. And I said, "Oh my gosh, the cat's right underneath your feet," and they stopped moving. The cat was going like around one foot leg and one the other, and then it rubbed against an ankle of the one I was reading. And evidently, I can connect right at the moment. And she says, "Oh my God, I feel this pressure against me. That's the cat." I says, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Lights just went out over there. Anyway, so I find that just amazing. So what she was emailing me off and on. And so one day the cat was skidding across the floor like that because they keep the same entertainment, went right through a wall. And it started occurring to me, hmm, went right through the wall. And then I felt it again with somebody else. And what was going on is we live in a structure. What if you didn't know you could go through a wall and you did one day by accident? And it appears animals respect walls. And as they get more adventurous and they fall through a wall or go here or there, then they move out. And you've heard of cats and dogs that at night they'll have the ones that are out at night, they'll create a loop to the house and out and back again. And I've seen this. It's like, I'm going to take an adventure. And they go out, but they want to come back. So they'll try and memorize the neighborhood so they don't get lost. They're spirits, they can't get lost, right? You think that, right? All they do is think about mom or dad and they come back. But that does take a while. One somebody was watching a dog, and the dog died at the babysitter's. And fortunately, she was watching the dog, but she had a whole bunch of animals. It was a hot day and it expired heat, overheated. And so this friend asked me, how's that dog doing? And I said, oh my God, every time we talk, it's running. This is a professional babysitter. And this dog is in its heaven by playing and being involved with other dogs. Like before, it would go with its master, and only on special occasions did it get to go to the babysitter. The babysitter's life, babysitting all these dogs, like 10 at a time, and they have this big acreage, and they just run in circles. And so this dog has found its heaven. And my friend said, "Ugh." And I said, we can't be selfish. We have to understand this is the dog's desire is to run and play with these animals. And I tell people that. What is your heaven? Have you ever thought, or you who are listening, I'm not saying your animals, but have we decided what our heaven is? I've already told you I want to run. And you'll say, well, that's a silly thing to do, but it's all relative, isn't it? I'm sure that Shar will be at Disneyland.
And Hawaii.
She'd be with
Yeah.
one of those ghosties at Disneyland. They'll say, there's a funny feeling on that ride. And she'll be going, woohoo.
That'll be me.
And her father is in China. She said, calls me, she says, Dad has died. And then I go, oh my gosh, like it's, oh my gosh, 'cause I knew him, and
Yeah.
mom too. And she says, what's he doing? And I says, he tells me he's leaving and has gone to China. He wants to walk on the Great Wall of China. And I heard this dead silence. And Shara's nodding her head, dead silence. And I go, did I misinterpret the message? And she says, he's always talking. What was it you said? I
He
can't
wanted to see
remember
the Great
exactly.
Wall.
He
He
always
wanted to take the boat down the Yancy Quang River. Yeah.
He loved China. He wanted to go to China and walk on the
Yep.
Great Wall, and that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, Nancy, you're so great. Please don't go there. I've been doing this for so long. Communication, it's easier for me, visually better. But the thing is that I'm the anchor and the validation. If you look at it that way, it's easier because that's the anchor we need to hold on that they're okay, that they're happy.
Hmm.
That's all we want. And for those who are in the celestial skies, that's what they want to do. With Sue, and I'll be writing about Sue and her son. He come over one time, one appointment. She walks in the house. I go, oh my God, what's wrong, Sue? She says, would you tell Jason to come here? I've been calling him for a week. I shrink down a little bit. I go, okay, Jason, where are you? And he said to me, and I said this to him, it was great. I love Sue and this boy, this 17-year-old kid, 6 foot tall, large kid. He was playing Superman. He was going to the universe with one arm, left arm out, and then the other arm close to his chest. And from the waist down, he was shown to be looking like a rocket. He says, would you tell my mother to stop calling me? I'm going across the sky. I want to visit other planets. And I told her that, and
Hmm.
she says, okay, okay. Because the way I said it was the way he talked. Would you tell
Hmm.
him to leave me alone? I go, okay, let's just step right into this, Nancy. Be brave. And I had to say it exactly. The other day, I was talking to a client, and this woman's father had passed away. I'm dividing, but it's so funny, some of these stories. It's great. And he was standing next to her, and so I gave a description. She said, well, does he have his glasses on? And I looked at him, I said, do you wear glasses? All of a sudden, I saw all these different shapes. And he was trying to remember what pair of glasses he had on last. And he clenched his eyebrows, and he looked down a little bit, and he was trying to remember. And I didn't tell her the expression. This was a year ago. Well, just had another session with her just like 3 days ago. And she was talking about her dad. And I was talking about the glasses, and I did that expression again. She says, oh my God, that's exactly what he did all the time. She says, you have no idea how that released me again. She's going to give me a testimony of how that, not me, the information. It's always not me. If I put myself in that ego, then I'll have doubt. You can't go there. You're an instrument, everybody. If you go into this, you're just the instrument. So when I told her, I said, how did that change your life after the first time and the second time? Now she says, you just reinforced it. We do survive, and I needed that today. Ugh. So with our animals, that grounding, that knowing, that loving that they're around. If they're not around, you have to release them to explore the world. If they're choosing a place that they call heaven, just honor that because they will be back. There's something to be said about endless love that's unconditional. And I can tell you, I talk about my dog, Bonnie, this big black lab with a little bit of white. It's like she was not good breeding stock, I guess, for a breeder. And then, unfortunately, the colleges, I don't know what they do now, but this was in, oh gosh, it's 81 or 82, 1981, 82. It's been a long time, 40 some years back. And it's so we're so emotional when we do it. But that's how we started. And I have a lot of information here. I was typing this up off and on for a couple of days, and I thought, well, Google, see if I thought, and everything I think there was one thing in here, and I'll mention it, that I didn't think of, but it's a pretty common topic. I don't want people to say, play like, oh, she's repeating what she read. No, absolutely not. Um, I've just talked to so many people that, yes, I can just think of my own life. So here's some of the things, and also I knew this. Um, the health benefits of having a pet. That's from the internet, that one line. And some of these I wasn't aware of. Allergies, absolutely. They say if you raise children with a pet, with cats particularly, they won't have as many allergies when they're adults. And unfortunately, my mother married a man who was terribly allergic to everything. And I've had allergies and as borderline asthma all my life because my mother never had pet for us. Just life just happens. So allergies and asthma can be helped if you have a pet. Now that's objective, right? Who knows? But it's been shown that maybe some people can. Social support. I'm going to have to think about that word. I saw that online and I put it in there. I think that there's such a thing as um, if you're emotionally something or other. But I was watching this show, Bulldogs and Paroles and Bulldogs. And then I saw another show where people are volunteering to help zoos, prisoners, disabled kids coming around and feeding and taking care of small animals. There are so many branches. When I was into horses, the lady across the street, the ranch, she was a friend of ours. She had a second kind of a job where the disabled kids would come and ride the horses. Now that's the 80s. Since then, of course, more organizations, but that was way back in the 80s, and that was a very common thing to do was to empower children with disabilities by riding a horse. So you, of course, you'd want an older horse that's gentle. I had I rode a quarter appy, so a quarter appy blend, and she was 17 hands high. There was no way. I always had to have something or someone give me a big push, and she was a big, heavy, obnoxious, but my and every time I got, I used to do endurance rides with her. There was kind of love-hate thing going on with this, and I did a couple of rides where I just let her go, and she looked at me like, "Thank you, Mom." And she would just take off like a bullet. Anybody done long distance riding knows you go downhill, you lean back, you go forward, and you. And the one time we were in the redwoods, up and down, and I leaned forward so far, and the horn on the saddle, it was before I started English, got hooked on my bra, and when I came back, all my clothes came off. Yeah, I have some great stories, everybody. Great stories. Anyway, um, playing with pets, cats and dogs and birds. How many have we seen birds on cockapoos and parrots and everything being so popular now? And they live so long. The only thing is if you get a pet and you're an adult, it's got to be I got lights keep going and off. What's that? Who's doing that? Um, generational pets, because they can live longer than you. So be careful when you get one of those long life do- animals. Play with cats can promote mindfulness and improve mental health. Uh, have shown health benefits by lowering blood pressure and regulating the heart rate during stressful situations. I don't know if we have time always. I've been on so many shows and done and had opportunities where the stress. I'll never forget. Tom Sullivan called me. He liked me, so I was on the show half a dozen times. And one time I was so sick with a cold, allergy. I just had a summer cold this last. I sound better for 2 weeks here. And it was one of those really bad colds. And he called me, says, I want you on the show in 5 minutes. I go, okay. I would have loved to have a cat. Uh, the only problem with my cats, they don't always want to sit on my lap, but they want a lot of loving. So the bench is right here. And I'll be doing something, and Joe, the big one, look at me and goes, well, I'm here. Why don't you pet me or stroke me? Sometimes it is very relaxing. Sometimes, like during the show, he'll come and look at me like, well, you belong to me. You got to do what I want. Oh gosh. Anyway, I just said it's subjective to what we experience and witness. And I have witnessed a lot of good things from pets. Like I said, I do believe that we are healthier if given a pet early in life. And it's also been shown, and this is a known fact, and I've known it for quite a while, uh, in retirement villas and take care centers for the most elderly, that if you bring pets in, it's amazing how calming and respectful the elder are toward these delicate little animals. Um, it's almost amazing. They even bring horses and not donkeys, but Shetland ponies in, and I've seen all kinds of animals. And the people really take to it. If at that time in my life someone brings me a cat or a dog or even a horse, I would love it. Horse would be tough, but I've seen Shetland ponies come in. And there are a couple things I also want to bring up. Mindfulness that pets are great, but I discourage the idea of buying cute little thing, chickadees for Easter, bunny rabbits for Easter, cats and dogs for Christmas. Um, and then I also want to caution, and kids, if you hear this, don't do this to mom. If I lose both my pet cats at this age, if they live in a, don't get me another one because I wouldn't want to fall in love with a pet and vice versa. And then I precede them in death. That is not fair to the animal. Okay, and the pandemic was a quite influence on people getting, they always say, oh, we have too many. How many times you watch TV and they're going to do, the local FPCA, or I was trying to think there was which just saw on TV, um, from the fires from Paradise, they had a lot of extra animals and they were actually adopted out. So animals survived, the owners did not. We lost 85 people, and there was a lot of animals that got picked up, survived, and then they had to find homes. And people were very generous. That was 5 years ago. The pandemic, people were isolated, home, lonely, and they got pets. They emptied out the shelters from all across the nation, which was absolutely amazing and wonderful. The problem is that as work came back. A lot of them could stay home, a lot of them didn't, so we ended up with a lot more shelters. So cautionary tales. And on TV in my area here, a lot of unfortunate people pass away, and that's one reason I don't want a kitten or another pet unless it's as old as I am, is that there's a lot of senior animals in the shelters, cats and dogs. And we need to remember if you're going to adopt a pet, maybe getting an older one that's already trained. A kitty is cute, but you got to train them, but they'll last um, 18 to 25 years. And Mrs. K lost her, I think it was a Sheltie, a couple of years back, and he was very, very old. And it was a lot of grieving, maybe a year and a half. And so she called, and you have to appreciate how many years I've been doing this. And I actually have to step into people. Now, the first thing I do is I don't go through your body unless you say so. Remember, I'm not a doctor. But once you blend with so many people, there's a tendency um, to recognize how the body works. And I can be pretty astute. So she called up, da 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 da. So I went to the cat, and I was told something between the paws. And then he showed me his hiney. And then he showed me his stomach. And I says, is he not eat? She is not eating. Is there constipation issues with the flow of the food through the body? And the patting on the foot, he limping. She goes, just went crazy. And I says, he she wants to have a pudding textured kind of thing. she needs that because she had stopped eating. Well,
Mhm.
if you have problems with your insides, right? And she hung up and she said, what cat wasn't eating? Oh, I got to tell you, the cat's 20 years old. 20. And I went to a place of Winnie going, oh, 20 years old. Oh my goodness, they only lived to be 20, 23, 25 at the most. I mean, that's pretty, 20 years old. Am I going to be picking up? No, I didn't pick up death, but the cat was constipated. Anyway, she says, I have some cottage cheese. I'm going to offer it to the cat. Well, the cat jumped on that right up, boom, like this. And I went, that cat's not going to die. That cat wanted something wet and moist, but it gets wet food, so what's the deal? And then she Googled and she called me back. She says, I've checked and if that's constipation, you give them pumpkin, like pumpkin pie. And she says, I'm going
Mhm.
to get it. I says, oh my God, that's the pudding I saw. You got to give her the pudding. So uh, pumpkin out of the can is like a pudding. I didn't know that. The cat was telling me she needs pudding.
Mhm.
And she got back to me and says, oh my God, that cat just loves that pudding. Now I'll fix that. So the cat now can stay around for a while. It's just amazing how the love that this woman has for these two pets. And she works full time. She's got a marriage. Life is busy. And yet these cats and dogs, oh, Nancy, this cat. Oh. So they give me the cat's name and I try to talk to her and she shows me body parts. I go, okay, I got to trust that. How do you do this? I don't know. Um,
Oh,
one
real
thing I
quick,
did bring up,
you know why the cat wanted pumpkin, right?
pardon me,
You know why
what'd
the
you say?
cat wanted pumpkin, right?
No, I
Because
don't
in
know anything.
dogs, I never knew it worked in cats, but with dogs, if your animal's constipated, you give them a half teaspoon of pumpkin from out of a can like that, pure pumpkin, and
Now, I think
it
you did
works. It.
tell me that, didn't you?
It's laxative. Plus, it'll work the other way too. If the dog has the runs, you can also give them that, and it stops the
Oh,
runs if they
really?
have the runs. Yeah.
I haven't had that problem, but so anyway, I think one of the things I thought of and I got this online and I mentioned it earlier was the complex I'm in, everybody has a pet.
Mhm.
And it's important to know if you're going to give a pet to an elderly person, that person will and benefit from it.
Mhm.
If it's a dog that needs walking, make sure the person can walk. The other thing is if it's a small dog, it fits better on the couch, but it barks a lot. And there's nothing more irritating to a senior than having a dog nonstop bark, because then as a senior, you're under stress. So be very careful how you discern what kind of pet you're going to give somebody. But as people get older and have mobility, family moves away, it's a big issue with loneliness. Guess who joined it? And just petting this cat, he just come up here thinking, just you can you can hear me pat him. He's just like, Mom. So anyway, I really believe that loneliness is a real issue for the elderly or people who are housebound. Cat
Mhm.
would be better. Um, People who live in the country, you would think that that would be fun. I love the country, but I found the country, I love it. I've always been a country person. There's kinds of people in the world, those who like the water and ocean, and those who like the dirt and the trees. And usually you'll favor one over the other. And that I just really love the country and I like the quiet, but it got very quiet. When I moved my husband down, we lived on Black Mountain, Hornbrook, California. So look up Hornbrook. Black Mountain's right next to it. It's 3,000 elevation. Home of my dreams. Oh, it was just great. So the husband had health issues, so I moved him to Orville because of I see you, much better hospital system. He took the cats. Man, the house got quiet. Good thing I did this. I have this work for a reconnect. What? Now he's getting obnoxious. So having a pet around really did help, and he took both of them because we were putting the
Mhm.
house on the market, and no way I was going to show a house up there that without that. And it does say pets do reduce anxiety. That's true. That's true. We unfortunately were involved with a fire up there as well as Paradise here. We just had a fire a week ago that was very dangerous here. And the problem with cats, it's hard to get them if they get afraid. And your anxiety, they can feel. And as we were packing after the firemen drove into our driveway, they were gone. They saw that red truck and boom. We had 15 minutes to get out. My husband couldn't find them. That's the heartbreak because you got to make sure you can find them if something. But my cats, if they hear a noise they don't recognize, they're gone. Where do you look? Pets are also recommended, and like I said, you have to be discerning if you're going to give a pet to somebody. Grieving. We can and do transfer our grief from ourselves and we can put it on the cat. But if you're losing a spouse or you've lost a, hopefully not a child, or a parent that you're connected with very tightly, sometimes just holding a cat or holding a dog will help you recover because it's a life.
Mhm.
Companionship. And I want to say, I got a little flippant with myself. I went, oh my God, and they're talking about, and I know everybody's seen on TV, robots with a human face in Japan and some of these other countries to help people from being lonely and to handle grief. Because they say
Mhm.
if you have somebody you can talk to, so they have talking robots and a white face with the eyes and the mouth that has expression. I just saw it on TV. I went, are you kidding me? I'd be wanting to take it apart and see if I can figure out how to work. So emotional security for recovery of something like that. And you've heard of animals being taken to hospitals, absolutely. Like I said, if you're disabled with your arm and leg and a cast, you can't have a dog for walking.
Mhm.
And how many of us have seen stories? This fella got on an airplane with an alligator, comfort animal. And I saw somebody on it get on the news, had a geese, a goose, something like that. And here's this great big white bird. And someone said, are you kidding me? This is not a comfort animal. Oh, yes, it is. Well, it could be. How many of you saw this man who had an alligator in the front part of his house in New York area? I mean, on the East Coast, had it as a little tiny spig of a thing. And of course, 13 feet long, people visit, and here's this big alligator at the front door. That's their pet. And he ended up keeping it. They did take it. He had to go to court. Shar, did you hear about that? How many of you heard about the
I
alligator
did.
pet?
All I can think of is as long as he keeps it well fed,
You
it shouldn't
did?
be a problem.
Right? Well, the thing is,
Yeah,
it's a
I mean,
you know, front room of an older house. So if you go to the front door, that's the first thing you'll see. And I don't know how he dealt with it. I
yeah.
love that story. And I did bring up a lot of organizations now with children with disabilities, especially, there just too many horse rides on gentle ponies or horses. And it's an empowerment thing. I really love that. Um, Oh, these precious beings, I call them beings, they just have fur, are 100% needing our protection and our welfare. Their welfare is our responsibility 100%, as with
Mhm.
children. And so you look at them and you go, my husband said the other day, when are they going to earn their keep? All they do is demand me to pet them all the time. I go, well, it's your reward is you get to pet them. And it's hard to remember that they are a 2 or 3-year-old all their life. So they can be demanding, they can be, if they get sick, they can run and hide or they can throw up right on your lap, which has almost happened here. And we have to follow them. The cat's always chucking up something. They fall in love with us. Not the I need you, but please love me. Am I safe with you? Interesting way to look at it, like a 3-year-old. Am I safe with you? Am I going to be taken care of? Remember those cute puppies or kittens with those big eye cartoons? They seem to reach into your soul. I just, that's really those I seen them on cards. It's a little puppy and the cat, and the eyes are this big and they blink, blink. How can you not fall in love with them? Uh, so on Google, if you type in what pets teach us about life, why humans like having pets. It's pages and pages of references. Most of it I already knew. You hear the dog next door? Um, that's what happens. You get one of those little ones because they want to show their importance to the master. So what they're doing, now we got a motorcycle, wonderful. So the little dog is saying, I'll protect you from that. And so they're protecting the neighborhood and everybody. The problem is, a little dog will bark, and you don't even know they see someone coming down the street long before you do. And I did bring up the reincarnation. So then you go, it's a shorter night, but then that's okay. Anything I didn't talk about, Char, with pets?
Well, I had a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. I have my office in here. Well, I have the little studio in here. Okay, and but it's a big room. My dog will only will go to my doorway. She won't come in ever.
Mm. But you have a lot of spirit people in here. Oh, I didn't talk
Okay,
about, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
okay.
I just saw I love reels and stories about dogs, and I have it written here. I
Mhm.
know I did, and I've overlooked it. How many of us have seen our pets look at ceilings and walls,
Mhm.
and there's somebody there they can see, but you can't?
Mhm.
Yeah, uh-huh. And Shar, I think she's got a whole neighborhood in her house. I swear. I know the uncle, mom, and maybe dad show up.
Mhm.
I know her aunt shows up at times. I think the dog sees a lot of spirit energy in the room. That's my
Yeah.
first feel. I think the
Okay.
room is also, she wants me to think it looks dark to her, dark, D-A-R-K. So
Mhm.
sometimes that's intimidating also. Is your
Okay.
room dark? Is the room dark? I know the
No,
background,
the back part
huh?
sometimes, but no, it's pretty light in here.
So she must enter it when you don't have the light on at night.
The
She
only
wants
thing
me to
that's
think it's
dark is the
dark to her.
hallway, because she hangs out in the hallway. It's pitch black back there,
Oh,
almost. Where she lays. But yeah, it's always
yeah.
she'll come to the doorway and then she'll stop, and I'm trying to get her to come in. It's air conditioned, lay on the floor, blah blah blah, and she won't come in
You can't
at
force
all.
her.
No.
Don't pick her up and carry her in. That won't be fair to her. Uh,
Are,
I think
are
that
there
she,
are there other pets in here as well?
when I walk in, are you to the right or to ahead of you? If I walk in the door, where are you located in the room?
To the right of the. Well, once you get in
The
through the
door?
door, there's a wall for a closet, but then I'm over to the right. Yeah.
Wow. I do see an animal on the ground, and the animal is on its fours, but on the ground, like a cat
Okay.
sits. But I
Okay.
think it's a dog. It looks light colored to me, and I
Mhm.
wonder, it is a spirit dog. So
Okay.
right now I'm looking at it, and I think it's between you and the wall or a window in the wall.
Okay.
To your
All right.
right, is that the outside wall?
To the left, I got my wall.
Looking at to the right of you, is that the wall that looks at the street?
No, there's to my right is a closet. It's just a closet straight across, and then I've got a couple of uh, bookshelves up here, off to my right.
So I might be doing a mirror. It feels like the
Okay.
dog is near or under what would have been a
Okay.
window. Where is that?
Right off to my
Where is
left.
that? Oh, so I did a reverse. Okay. Feels like
Yeah,
it's
it is a mirror.
under
What
that
you're
window
seeing is the reverse to
looking
where.
in.
Yeah.
Right,
How big is
right.
the dog?
So who had that room before?
My dad.
Pardon me?
This is my mom and dad's bedroom at one time, and then it was my dad's at the end for the last 5 6 years.
Like I said, it looks like a husky, I mean a short hair, light in color, stocky build, not a big dog. It's hunched down on its
Hmm.
just resting, kind of like laying on the ground under its legs. Um, it's a spirit dog, I can say. Do you remember a
Oh,
dog light in color? I don't know if it's spots. I just see a light
I
in
do
color.
have one that looked
Short
like a
hair,
chihuahua
like a terrier.
almost. It looked like a chihuahua.
Yeah, could be. Uh-huh.
It could be her. Yeah. That'd be nice,
Yeah,
cause
it could be. I
yeah,
can't tell because it's not walk. Pardon
yeah,
me?
yeah, because he had a
Who
couple cream colored
who
chihuahuas, and
is
then
it?
I had one that was like a red. That was a terrier that was that color.
And how, okay, so remember I just said short-haired terrier looking? Was it,
It's dog.
oh,
I
I
don't know
don't
who
know
it
the
is.
right words.
It surprises
Pardon
me
me?
because yeah, it surprises me because after she passed, I never had any contact with her like the other dogs. So it surprises me that she's here. Yeah, I know who it is.
Was she independent?
Cool.
Was she
Yes,
independent or needy dog?
she was
Which
independent.
way? Which one?
Huh?
Okay, that's why.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why she's not hanging on you all the time. She was independent
She
versus a
very
dog that
smart.
has to touch all the time.
Yeah, and then when I had a cat, when I had my cat, we were all in the same room. You know how cats come to life at night, right? And the cat's jumping off everything. Well, the dog would wake up and yell at the cat. She'd get so frustrated with her. So yeah,
So I want to say it's more
woo,
of a
I picked
terrier
it up.
only because the fur on it looks coarser than what I would see probably and
Yeah,
feels more terrier. And then you'd said you had, so I'm going to go with that.
yeah. I never that's a surprise. Okay, and his name was Dog.
You are it.
DAWG.
Remember, remember, I can only tell you what I'm seeing. Logic
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
but its name was Dog. DAWG. That's what her name was.
Oh, so creative.
Because I found her,
Was that
and
your?
that's what the problem was. We found her wandering. I thought it was a Chihuahua. And I said, "Look,
Uh-huh,
Dad, it's a
uh-huh.
Chihuahua. Let's get it." Because that's what they were into at that point. And we never found the owner. And you know what? Until I found the owner, there was no name for her, so I just started calling her Dog.
Right, right.
It was
And
stuck.
so
And
that
that's good.
being that she was out on her own, that
Yeah,
feel of independent, like she's not
yeah.
going to hang on you or rub against you or jump on your lap or other,
No,
maybe not a trauma, but the child was very
no.
needy,
I was able to
nurturing
take
and
her
that.
off
So,
leash everywhere, and she would go wandering off and come back. She left to do her own thing.
right, that's an independent. So that doesn't surprise me that she would lay on the floor
Yeah,
and just watch you all the time. Yeah.
it's kind of cool to know she's here. But it
And
is.
so
It's
we
really
do the
frightening.
readings.
I know I have relatives here, but it's really frightening when your big moose of a dog, well, she's not very big, she's like, what, 35, 40 pounds, will get to the doorway and go, and she gets this look like she puts her head down and steps back.
Okay, so if she's seeing dog on the
Yeah,
ground
yeah,
across, she'll see that dog and know, wait a minute, that doesn't look right,
yeah,
and not know
yeah,
that she's a ghost dog,
yeah,
or spirit dog rather.
yeah. Good, it's good to know. Kind of nice to have dog here. I
All
never
right, kid.
thought about that. Okay,
You
I'll
never
shut up
put me
now.
on the spot. I kind of like it. Kind of like,
It's
okay,
fun.
let's see who's
I've
there.
been curious because, I mean, with the air conditioning on in here, I always thought, well, maybe she'll come in here because it's cooler, to hang out. But she lays right in front of the door because there's an opening beneath the door where she can feel the cool air, so she lays out there. But she
Right.
won't come in here. So, okay, guys.
That's the
Well,
answer.
that was fun. It was a fun evening. Thank you for the cup, Nancy. Put me in better humor. Um, Tomorrow I'm going to be doing an interview. Well, I won't be doing it. I've been asked to do an interview with an author for a book they're writing on the paranormal. So I'll get to be hopefully featured in this book. And the author is Rory. I couldn't say this last night for some reason. Rory O'Neill Schmidt. But tomorrow evening she's going to be here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific to talk about voodoo in New Orleans and stuff.
Oh,
So
that's
we're going to have that
interesting.
conversation tomorrow at 6:30. So 2 p.m. I'll be doing an interview with her. Well, not a show or anything, but for her book. And then 6:30 p.m. I will be back here with her talking about what I call voodoo hoodoo. But yeah, we're going to be talking about voodoo tomorrow. So it should be an interesting evening. And again,
Yeah.
like I said, throw out some ideas, you guys, about what you would like to see on the Patreon. Shoot me some emails, or hit me up on Facebook. Let me know, what you guys want to see, or maybe, like I said, maybe I could put together a small focus group, and we could all kind of sit down and have a one-on-one and chat about that because I'm looking at making changes over there, and like I said, it's unfortunate. If I had been able to monetize over YouTube, this wouldn't have been a problem, but got to start doing something here,
It's so
start getting it rolling.
frustrating.
So
All the
I
hours,
also have
years.
a free website where I have designed T-shirts and some different items as well. If you guys are interested in that, California Haunts Radio T-shirts, California Haunts T-shirts, we've got some tote bags and all kinds of things over there. So, sunglasses, you can wear me on your eyeballs, so things like that. So, just starting to put all that together. All right, Nancy, it's always fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome. You're
again,
welcome.
you guys, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. Oh, you know what?
We'll give you a thumbs up. Yeah.
If people find you.
Oh, my name. There is other Nancy Matz people, women
Yeah.
out there. One in Texas, one on the East Coast. And I think there's two or three on Facebook. Don't know about you. I think YouTube also. So Nancy Matz Psychic,
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Matz Author, Nancy Matz Psychic on the YouTube station.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a squiggly line, Nancy Matz Psychic for my channel. And under my channel, I am posting Shar shows that I do with her, and I'm about a month behind now. And I try to catch up. And she gets credit when you watch them on my channel. So subscribe
Mm-hmm.
to my channel and hers, you'll get the ones I'm going to start doing pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if you come up with a good life sucks, but can get better, something
Yeah.
sarcastic and fun. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
thank
right,
you,
guys.
Shar.
All right. Now I can say it. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show,
Oh,
share it with 5 people you don't like. We just want to get the
oh,
word
Shar, I
that
made
way.
a mistake. I made a
Ah,
mistake. My website for getting a reading from me is nancymatz.com.
okay.
Make sure it's, yeah,
Yeah,
nancymatz.com and then
.com.
Nancy Matz author. And it's Nancy Matz
Okay.
Psychic for my YouTube. Sorry, Shark. Go ahead.
That's okay.
I don't even know my own
Well,
stations.
we're always trying to get the word out about this show. So whether you send us out to somebody you like or somebody you don't like, we're just trying to get the word out. We're not particular. We're just, share, share, share. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Have a great rest of your evening. Nancy, you too. And tomorrow.
Good night, everybody. Do we have someone? Oh,